BraveWords Records, home for Paul Di'Anno's Warhorse, the Chris Slade Timeline, Rhett Forrester and Rob Robbins, Prophets of Addiction, Jack Starr, Esker, Crimson Glory, and Lillian Axe, where music lives. BraveWords Records. Visit BraveWordsRecords.com.
Please welcome to BraveWords Streaming for Vengeance, drum legend Mikkey Dee. Thank you so much, sir. It is such a pleasure to speak with you again. Before we get into the whole Rock Kommander thing, please, let's get personal. How are you doing health-wise? You were very vocal and it was pretty serious.
Yeah, it was a nasty part of my life. A horrible bacteria that I caught somehow. We don't know how. And but I'm doing much better now. You know, it did a lot of damage inside my body for sure. And but I'm recovering. And as I used to say to people, is that I'll take this month to month. So every month it gets better, not weeks or days. It takes about a month to feel a difference. It takes that long, but I'm back on the drum stool, and we did great in South America, and I'm looking forward to the European tour now.
And I think I'm going to be able to see you at Time to Rock. It'll be the first time that I fly into Copenhagen in about a month, actually.
Right. Okay.
Before we get into that thing, that's wonderful conversations. Rock Kommander, tell me about your gaming history. Are you an old gamer from the past? Tell me some of that.
I'm actually not. Uh, I'm a horrible gamer, actually.
Okay, okay.
But of course, the interest has started more and more in later years when you have some more time off the road, and when you are on the road, and basically on the road it's easy to do some gaming. And when I got approached about this Rock Kommander, I thought it was great. I'm not so much for the typical games where kids really like today, when they a lot of shooting games, pretty much everything is. And I don't know. It's not that much fun, but this seemed interesting to me when you actually create a band and battle out. And I thought it was awesome, actually.
And were you happy with your emoji, the way they created your picture?
Yeah, it's okay. I looked at it, and you could put down $1 trillion and make a real insane, character, but during the circumstances, it's fine. It's kind of funny to see.
As long as they make you look younger, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And I can move like I did when I was 25. That's okay then.
But like for gaming and drummers, there's got to be something there with hand-eye coordination. Did you pull anything off of that? Did it actually affect your drumming playing gaming?
Mm, Guess my coordination's a little more advanced than an average person. It will be strange other if you have played drums in fucking 58 years. So yeah, I think it would help actually to maybe not so much to sit on a console and play, but you know maybe a little bit.
So you say you're back on the drum stool. What percentage are you up to, you think?
Oh, it's hard to say because we did South America now almost 5 weeks, and it went great. That was a big test for me with my leg and my right leg and foot. It's not 100% yet. I'd say I'm about 80% maybe.
So tell me, as I mentioned, I'm going to be heading to Time to Rock. BraveWords is actually one of the media sponsors, and I'm curious what the Friends and Mikkey Dee and Friends means.
Well, it's two buddies, of mine, and we just blowing through a lot of Motorhead classics and some other songs as well. But I like to play our old songs. I miss them. stuff that we played in the early 90s and stuff we never played, stuff that we did play a lot, just in general. And these two guys I play with are just the nicest. William and Victor. I keep saying if we, they just so humble and enjoying the same stuff as I do. So we having a blast. I can't sit around too long and not play drums. That's the problem.
Right, right. Well, it's like your resume is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. It's unbelievable, but it's like bands at 50. It's like doesn't that isn't that remarkable when you look back at the past and like some of these bands, like you look at Priest and the Scorpions, like 50 plus years, that seems pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, right now we're celebrating 60 years with Scorpions,
Right.
this year. And I've been, fortunate enough to play almost 10 years with them now since Lemmy's passing.
Right.
And no, it's great. I mean, there's not too many bands out there. I was talking to the boys in Judas Priest when we were touring South America now, Rob Halford and the guys, and same with Alice Cooper's been around there forever, and Iron Maiden's it's got some serious numbers, and it's just not too many of us left. I'd say, in that people are dropping off, not dying, but stop playing and touring.
Could you relate to Nico McBrain stopping to play with Iron Maiden? What was your feeling around that?
Yeah, it's just very unfortunate. I mean, Nico is great. He's one of my, I'd say, he's the nicest guy in the business after me. And he says I'm the best looking guy after him and Tico Torres. So I'm on the third place. That's what he keeps saying. But
Yeah.
anyway, the nicest guy, fantastic drummer. He's got it all. But when your body gives up and it's time to call it a day, basically, and I'm pretty much the same. I mean, when I can't play like I want to do, like Mikkey Dee, or to do what I'll talk about me in the third person here, but when I feel I can't really reach that level where I feel I should be or have been, maybe it's time to step off the big stage. I don't say I'll never stop playing drums, and I'm sure Nico won't either. But
Right.
to be on tour and to play almost every single day and be out on the road, it takes a lot from you. And it's heaven, and it's fantastic, and I love it still to this day so much. But if your body can't do it, you can't do it. It's not very, it's not weird. And for us drummers, physically, it's a little bit different story than the rest of the boys in the band. A singer will struggle with his voice, of course. A guitar player probably with the fingers and the the tendons in their hands and arms. And for us drummers, is in general physical deal. But if I didn't end up with this sepsis shit, I'm in great shape. I play hockey 2 or 3 times a week in the winter half, and I play drums all the time. When we're off with the Scorps, I go out and do my own shows, and I'm in the studio with different formations, and so I really keep active with sports and music. But then, like this shit happened with me, you never know. It took 2 days, and being the Hulk Hogan, to a little baby bird,
Yeah.
couldn't even move. I had to learn how to walk, and the whole thing just collapsed in 2 freaking days. It's unbelievable how quick it can go. So for Nico, he's been struggling for quite some time with smaller health issues. I know that, with shoulders and elbows, and
Right.
uh, and he finally, I guess, said, that's it. And I just can't do it that much anymore. And Iron Maiden needed a drummer that could be on the road with them and play as much as they play, so
Now, your ears must have been burning maybe a couple of weeks ago because I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil at the Bangers Open Air, and I met my friend Randy Black from Annihilator and now Destruction, who told me stories about you playing, because I've played hockey since I was four.
yeah.
So that blew my mind. You're playing hockey with Mikkey Dee?
Yeah, I brought my gear down to Hanover where he lives.
Yeah, right.
And that's our base with Scorpions. So I took my van, and when I take my car or van down there, I bring my hockey gear, you know, and they play some scrimmage stuff, and that's okay. That's no problem there. It was great.
Nice, nice. Well, you inherited something really high intensity when you replaced Filthy Animal Taylor. I'm a huge speed and thrash guy, and I just wanted to ask you about like it's. I'm not blaming the intensity on. It's got to be hard on the body because those are some of the roots of where Metallica got their speed from, right?
Right. A lot of bands did. We just a whole generation came out of Motorhead, I'd say, and no, it was some big shoes to fill, and but I had two options, as I've been saying in interviews. I had either be a Filthy Animal Taylor replacement, or put Mikkey Dee on the map, and I choose the second option. Nothing wrong with Taylor. He did great, and I loved him dearly, as a friend, and what he did with Motorhead, it was great. And but I had to be myself. The same thing goes with Scorpions now. That I'm not going to be a Herman Rarebell or James Kotak. I'm Mikkey Dee in Scorpions, and if that doesn't work out, then I wouldn't be in the band, and they wouldn't probably have me either. So
Right.
they enjoy that I'm adding. I want to add something to the bands that I join, not just sit on a drum stool in the back and play what my predecessors been playing.
As a
But
fan, were you paying attention or learning anything from Filthy Animal Taylor and or Herman Rarebell? Were you
oh
paying
yeah, of course.
of styles?
That
What did you learn?
I was just coming to that part, that it's a fine line where you take some of their stuff, because there's parts of songs where I don't want to change it at all. I mean, even same drum fills, because they're classic, or it's a typical Herman fill, or a Taylor fill, and it fits so well in that particular song. Of course, I play it. Um, but it's a fine line, and I believe that I have to say about myself that I do believe that I have a good sense there. That my we have a saying in Sweden, the fingertip feeling, like
Okay.
that you can kind of judge what to change and not to change, and just a feeling about how far you can push it, or where you should lean back. And I give myself a little bit of a pat on my shoulder. I think I feel this. I want to put myself into the band and make a change, and put my drumming into it at the same time as I really like to play some of their parts and stuff, because they did it so well, and it sounds great, and I don't want to destroy that at all. It's not an ego thing at all. It's just why would I join a band and just be a replacement guy? It's just
Right.
not me as a drummer.
Now, as I said, your resume is crazy. But to walk beside a King Diamond and a Lemmy and a Schenker and a Klaus Meine, like that's like you're And you're part of the elite too, but you're surrounded by some really crazy elite people. How do you walk into those situations? And like the first time you met King and the first time you met Lemmy, how did you?
Well, we, I don't think that way in a way. Of course, you might be a little intimidated in certain times, but you don't really walk around thinking that way. You become really good friends and family. It's like if you ask your own son or daughter, how is it to be having your dad or mother uh, famous or good at what they do, and they don't think about that at all. And it's the same thing. I can't walk around thinking about, wow, I'm playing with Lemmy, or wow, I'm playing with Klaus Meine and Rudolf Schenker and Matthias, and I want to be a part of it. I want to step into that family and become one of those guys. Um, I played a long time myself, and every time I stepped into one of these bands, and it's not too many actually, but a few bands that I feel that I made a right decision that actually earned my stripes on my shoulder before I did it. For instance, Lemmy asked me 3 times from 1986 to join the band,
Right.
and I turned him respectfully down and said, "Look, I'm just not ready for you crazy motherfuckers. Uh, I haven't earned my stripes. You'll be eating me for breakfast." And we kept contact, and he asked me again after a few years. And when I finally felt that now I can join the band because I think I can add something to these guys, and I can stay afloat, and not be eaten for breakfast. Then I joined them, and I would never take on a thing like Scorpions if I didn't feel that I can make a change.
Right. Right.
So that goes hand in hand with what you were asking. Like, you don't really think about the greatness. I respect the greatness, and I totally know all about it, their legend and what they've done and created and what they are creating. But you kind of, try to be a part of it instead. And instead of standing on the side looking in, you want to be inside and be a part of that.
And I bet you they admired you for that big time.
Well, I hope they do, and I think they do. So, otherwise I wouldn't be here, I guess. They go,
Right.
hey, take your fucking drum stool and get out of here.
I'm located just outside of Toronto, and literally within a couple of blocks from where I am is where Rush um, hired Neil Peart to replace John Rutsey. Literally
Right.
a couple of blocks from where I'm sitting right now. And apparently you're a Neil Peart fan.
Yes, I'm a huge Rush fan to begin with. I mean,
Yeah.
since early 70s, I found them right away, and they stuck to me the whole time. So, of course, massive fan,
Nice, nice. Do you have a couple more moments?
and a Saga fan too. They're
There
great
we go.
friends.
Well, Canada has just an incredible Max Webster. As I say, I'm a more extreme guy, so I love my Anvil and Razor and Exciter. And
Right.
what do you think about drummers that actually sing? Actually, we have two. You've got Triumph and Exciter, drummers that can actually sing in tune when they play the drums. What do you think when you're watching them perform?
It's great because I cannot do it. I sing like a fucking, I don't know what, vacuum cleaner or something. But no, I think it's great. You look at Taylor Hawkins, in Foo Fighters, she was singing like a bird. And an amazing singer is Dean Castronova,
Right. Yes.
with Journey. I mean, so there's drummers out there around the world that are amazing singers too. That's great. But I keep saying as an excuse that I stick to the drums, but that's just because I can't sing. So
Can I give you a couple more questions? Do you have a moment?
sure.
I call this the BraveWords rapid fire. Just some fun kind of left field things. Who is your rock star or metal god? Who is your rock star?
It's a terribly hard question to ask. I mean, Ian Pace, maybe I have to say.
Um, the moment when you decided that music was your life, do you remember that moment? And did you have family support? Or did your parents go get a job? Drumming is not a job.
No, no, no. My parents were fully involved in parts why I'm actually sitting here. I'll give you a quick story. We lived in an apartment building when I grew up, and my mom went through all the neighbors, getting their schedule when they came home, if they came home for lunch or when they came home from work and stuff. And I had to drum around. I came home from school maybe, and she said, "You got 20 minutes now before he's coming home, and then you have 10 minutes before those guys are coming home." So that kept, of course, the interest rolling because there was no rehearsal room or nothing. I had to play in my apartment.
Right, right.
So yeah, no, they were very much involved in helping me with that, and yeah, that's how it was.
Have you ever asked for an autograph?
Yeah, yeah, many times.
What's the most important one you received?
Well, today I'm a friends with Ian Pace, but I got Ian, I got you know uh, my good friend Steve Smith, and just some drummers. Brian Downey is a good friend today, and
Wow.
and some astronauts.
Okay, okay. What do you think about the vinyl craze? And do you remember your first vinyl purchase as a kid?
Yes, yes, I do. It was a single uh, from Hepstars, Cadillac.
Okay, okay.
I don't know if you heard about him, Swedish band. Eventually became, parts of it became ABBA.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I know ABBA.
If you Google Hepstars
Okay.
and the song Cadillac, that was my first single.
Wow, wow. That's crazy. And your first concert?
Deep Purple, 1971.
Wow. Amazing, amazing.
I was only 7 then, and they changed it for me big time. That's why I'm such a Ian Pace fan. I mean, the dynamics and the roundness of his playing, uh, that's the ultimate, I'll say. Same with a guy like Brian Downey. When you put blues and jazz into hard rock, it's fantastic.
What drummer blew you away live?
But there we go. Neil Peart, of course, and Brian Downey, Ian Pace, Steve Smith. Uh, and then my own generation, Scott Rockenfield, we were good friends with the Queenstrike, same kind of audience. Steve Nagus in Saga, a good friend also. There's so many great drummers and out there. And Cozy Powell was a great friend of mine, and you know,
Tell me some future aspirations. What's going on we've got your Mikkey Dee and friends. How about with the Scorpions? Is there any work going on there?
oh yeah, we got Europe now starting tomorrow. We have Europe all of June and July, and then we have US in August. We moved our residency in Vegas
Right.
from February to August because I was in the hospital and didn't do very well. Well, I did well actually because I got out of it, but at the moment I didn't feel too good. And then we have some more stuff coming up in September, October, I believe, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. But we do have a full year ahead of us, basically,
Let me just
or
quickly
half a year.
let me just quickly step back because I forgot a question. What's the most challenging drums to play on a Motorhead song and a Scorpion song? Which songs from those bands are the toughest you find to play?
Well, I don't really feel any songs hard or tough to play because I do my homework. You know, they are they are not difficult to play, but of course a song like Sacrifice takes a little extra. You
Right,
got to be a little more focused on pockets and you have to really listen to each other a little extra because you want it to sound very tight. In the Name of Tragedy, Overkill is an easier song because it was basically a little more even going, but no songs are really hard. And with Scorpions, it could be some of the easier songs, like, well, not easy, but a song like Big City Nights, for instance, is pretty hard to make it swing and rock.
right, right.
I don't know why that is. That was the song that took longest for me to feel that I played well on it, and it's really strange because I don't know why. It's not a hard song. It's just the way it is. And not no songs really are that tough technically or so. And if you do your homework and you rehearse properly, it shouldn't be a problem at all.